The Terminator, a film about survival, but more importantly, surviving only to walk a path that is worse than death. This is your only path, and there is no escaping destiny. A destiny that will inevitably lead to a suffering of truly epic proportions. It's enough to make any sane person pray for death. Hey there, viewers! Welcome to the Cool Cave. I am your host, Johnny Coolati, and today we're going to talk about The Terminator. Yes, the first Terminator from 1984, the horror movie The Terminator. A lot of people get confused. They say, this is an action movie. I disagree with that. This is a horror movie. Terminator 2 is an action-adventure film. I've been watching The Terminator since I was a little kid. I think I first saw it when I was about 6 years old. I remember taping it off of Channel 20, the local station with commercials, and it scared the living hell out of me. I was too afraid to answer the door.
Sarah Connor?
Yes?
If that isn't horrifying, I don't know what is. Terminator 1 has one job: to scare you and make you feel like there is no hope. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Determinism. The doctrine that all events, including human action, are ultimately determined by causes external to the will. I'm not just talking about determinism. I'm talking about something called predestination. Yeah, that has to do with all events being the will of God. And in this case, in the Terminator and James Cameron's story world universe, God is a vengeful God, and he wants to punish the human race. There's a lot of horrifying aspects to the Terminator, a lot of existential dread, mainly brought on with the time-traveling paradox that people seem to mock and make fun of so much. But I think it's actually the scariest thing about the movie. It's scary. At this time, I gotta do the annoying thing. I gotta remind you to hit like and subscribe. This is our first episode. If you want to see more episodes, which there will be lots of, about movies, music, stories, books, everything. If you like what you're seeing, hit like, hit subscribe. We'll alert you when the next one comes. And without further ado, let's get into it! The Terminator utilizes many techniques used in successful horror films. At times, what we see on screen is repulsive. Things are often not what they seem. It finds ways to disorient us, and primarily takes place under the cover of darkness. Often, lights are used to blind us by being shined directly into the camera lens. POV shots are used throughout the entire film to further immerse us into the soulless conscience of a killing machine. Scenes throughout often utilize our subconscious by tapping into the darker sides of human sexuality and perversions, leaving us feeling vulnerable, sometimes directly, sometimes more subtly, conjuring thoughts within the audience leading to voyeurism, rape, or, if you want to reach even further, bestiality. The Terminator is a monster that thrives in a dark world. He's beyond villainy or bribery. He is one-dimensional, perversely attractive, and possesses unnatural power. The film exploits the primal fear of death, but the most terrifying horror films often have something a little more. More importantly, this film exploits the fear before death, specifically by increasing the awareness each main character has of the paradox that they are a part of. It's enough to make anyone go crazy, as Sarah Connor would say. This is the most horrifying aspect of the film. When reviewing deleted scenes and extended dialogues that were cut due to bad takes or pacing issues, we learned that everything that is happening is truly unavoidable. and everything that was is exactly as it should be. Although these scenes aren't necessary to make this argument, they still serve as a strong pillar in my analysis. In these deleted and extended scenes, we learn about Sarah's plan to blow up Cyberdyne systems and stop the future war. Reese reluctantly decides to go along with it, but deep down, he knows it is truly pointless. The beginning of the film states in its opening text, the final battle will take place today. Then later, when Kyle Reese is being interviewed while in custody, he states, their defense grid was smashed. We'd won. Taking out Connor then would make no difference. And it's because of this, in the last-minute act of desperation for Skynet, they send the Terminator back in time in an attempt to wipe out his entire existence. This is all to prevent Skynet from its imminent and certain destruction. The important words here are, we'd won. John Connor then knowingly sends a man who he knows to be his own father back in time to fight the final battle. We know John Connor is aware that Kyle Reese is his father when he does this because of the tapes Sarah is recording for John at the end of the film. By sending Kyle Reese back in time, it puts Sarah Connor on a path to raise John Connor in preparation for what is inevitable, and most importantly, start a mission to send his own father back in time so that he may exist. This Ouroboros of cause and effect proves that in the story world of the Terminator, everything that happens is, and always was. The time loop paradox in the Terminator is all part of God's grand design to carry out his judgment and sentence on humanity. The most obvious testament to this is in the deleted scene, where Cyberdyne Systems is revealed to be the factory where the Terminator is crushed. The term, there is no fate but what we make for ourselves, is a half-truth. Humanity has already sealed its fate by relying too much on technology, something that's been happening long before 1984. God is passing his judgment, and God's will cannot be stopped. Skynet and its Terminator machines are acting like an ironic divine power made to punish humanity. I don't mean to exclude anyone by using terminology like God or God's will. It's just an easier way of saying the nature of the universe. It's just a little easier to say God's will. This no fate but what we make half-truth riddle is actually only shared in a deleted scene. However, it has a completely different meaning than what it does in the second film. In T1, the saying is used as a way for Kyle Reese to comfort Sarah Connor through a difficult time, providing an illusion of control. However, Kyle Reese, having the perception of a time traveler, already knows the score. Of course, he's not going to tell Sarah, hey, whatever you do is the way it happens, and you're actually not in control of your own destiny. That wouldn't help at all. But you have to realize that he knows that John Connor exists. His very existence in 1984 is a testament to that. He knows you cannot change history. Kyle Reese is beginning to truly realize this just before sleeping with Sarah. This arc in Kyle Reese's character is even more prevalent in deleted and extended scenes. In an extended scene, he says that it looks like a future life without war for him is not possible. He says this because he has already fallen for Sarah. Many believe that true love is not in our control, that it comes from somewhere else. Some say that love is divine, or in other words, from God. In this moment, Kyle is discovering that he is in fact John Connor's father, but also that he is going to die. His fate has already been predetermined by God, or the universe. And not just his, but the fate of the entire human race. He already knows the story from what he has learned about history as a man of the future. We even see him fight the urge to make love in a sort of last-minute effort to save his own life. but maybe just not his own life, maybe the whole world's. Personally, for Kyle Reese, giving Sarah Connor a child sets forth the apocalyptic fate of the entire world. And god damn it, he just can't help it. There is a reason why that love scene is so painfully passionate. This is a revelation for him that we are all made to suffer and will be punished for our sins. Nothing can ever change that. There is no freedom of choice. We are slaves to the timeline, and there is only one timeline. This is what theologists call predestination, or the idea that all events have been willed by God. This idea of predestination is hands down the most horrifying aspect of the Terminator, and in my personal opinion, the controlling idea behind the film. I mean, seriously though, like, imagine realizing that you truly are not in control of the decisions you make. It may feel like you're deciding to go to Starbucks today, but really it's just the universe. It's a chain reaction. You have no choice. You may make the choice in your mind, but you are always going to make that choice in your mind. Cause and effect. The whole idea of predestination is absolutely terrifying because it dehumanizes people. You may feel like you have control, but in fact, you are always going to do that anyway. That's not living. No free will is just another way of saying you don't have a soul. It's easy to see dehumanization of like looking at something like the Terminator, this fake human that's not really a human. That's dehumanizing, but think about this paradox. How dehumanizing is that? That you don't really matter. That the decisions that you're making are already dictated. All the cards were stacked in a way to make it happen the way it does. It's kind of like playing blackjack. If you're like a really good blackjack player, you know when to hit or stay or double down. A good blackjack player always sticks to the rules. He knows when to hit, he knows when to pass, he knows when to double down. This is like a blackjack game of life. You don't have a choice. It's just however the cards lay is how you're going to do it. That's what predestination tells you. It's dehumanizing at its highest level.
It's not really about machines from the future. It's sort of about our relationship with technology, but it's really kind of about how our human potential for dehumanization ourselves. You see cops as examples, and then the other idea that not to trust technology and even not to trust the fabric of reality, because by the second film you've got this woman who's gone crazy, knowing that the world is a completely fragile place and it's all an illusion.
In this story world, specifically the first film story world, God, if he exists, is an angry and vengeful puppet master, making it all the more horrifying. It may very well just be the horrifying nature of the universe as well, whatever you'd like to call it. But is this fictional story really that different than what is actually going on in the real world that we live in? We live in a world where people are suffering. Technology seems to be expanding beyond our control. Some have even tried to stop it, only to be deemed as madmen. What will happen when AI inevitably begins to improve upon itself? Is this in our control? Or is it simply predestination? Are we slaves to our own timeline? To the universe? To God? Many would rather die than not be free. Maybe, just maybe, no one is truly free. Maybe it's all an illusion, like the riddle that Kyle told Sarah Connor. What if the concept of will only applies to the will of the universe? In that case, what would be the point of living? So you guys are still here. Thank you so much for watching. You made it. You made it through the whole video. It's my first video, and there's going to be a lot more videos. So please hit like and subscribe, and you'll be notified with the next one. Hit that bell. I think it dings you when I've never used the bell, but hit the bell. Leave comments, ask questions. You have your own opinions. You don't like my opinion, tell me about it. Let's talk about it. You can leave a comment and tell me I'm a freaking idiot. I don't really care either way. Hit like and subscribe. The bell will notify you, and we'll see you next time in the Cool Cave.